Okay, and welcome to the tutorial for homework number 5, bouncing ball assignment. We'll be animating the bouncing of a ping pong ball and a lead ball on separate layers in one single animation. So just a reminder how to log in to, or how to open up Animate, Adobe Animate. If it isn't here on your dock at the bottom, you can always click on Spotlight up on the top right corner of your Finder menu and just type in Animate, hit enter, and there we go. That's a little bit easier than navigating the Finder in the Applications folder. Remember to click on ActionScript 3 to start a new document. Then you can immediately go over to the overall document settings, lower your frame rate, frames per second, to 12 from 24. Either way, you can always change that later on, but it'll go a little bit slower. You'll see your changes a little more clearly over time. Now, since we're doing this assignment using motion tweens, instead of frame by frame, it's not going to make a huge difference in terms of the amount of work you have to do. So, a couple of points. You'll be doing your 2 bouncing balls in 2 separate layers. So start off either with your, decide on which you're doing first. Your ping pong is often what people choose to do first. And then you'll be able to tweak the, when you see both of the balls bouncing together, you'll be able to tweak them based on, the contrast of movements. I'm going to very quickly go through one bouncing ball movement. Okay, so I have the ball drawn in frame 1. Then I'm just going to arbitrarily insert a hold frame, and that'll just create a hold frame up until the point where I inserted it, meaning that the keyframe here is just being held across this entire span of time. So by doing that, I give myself some space in which I can create my motion tween. Now, to create the motion tween, just right-click on any of those frames and create motion tween. And it's going to say, you cannot tween this item because it's not yet a symbol. Remember, it has to package your raw drawing data into a kind of symbol, a thing that it knows how to move around. It kind of does some plastic wrap around your ball, and now you can see this little border around it. It's now a symbol, and you can see that your frames are blue, meaning that it's a motion tween. Now, I know that 12 frames means a second here. I'm going to say that my first bounce is around here, right? So you want to start off by we're doing pose to pose, right? So I'm going to just determine where my first bounce is going to go. And let's say, and I can always go back and reposition. So I'm going from here to here, but of course I want to go somewhere in between. So I can move this up. I can also do the thing as we did in class. At any point I can just move the motion path, which automatically kind of creates this nice arc. And this is all with the select tool, right? So maybe I choose the first bounce to go boing. Second bounce, maybe I'll be a little bit faster, a little bit lower. See, I go here. It's funny, if I create an arc for the first movement, it automatically wants to make it into an arc for the second. Uh-oh, things are going a bit awry. I'm not going to do the whole thing here. Yeah, that arc doesn't look great. I'm going to have to do a lot of nuancing of the thing. And of course, I'm going to have to go back in. So now I have 2 bounces at least. That's the beginning. I'm going to have to go back in and get these keyframes a little closer together to create that easing in motion. And if I decide that this is all going a little too fast or a little too slow, let's put in a third bounce right here. Bonk. And we'll make this a little, I'm not loving that. Oops.
Good morning, and welcome
Uh-oh,
to
my
Long
music
Rally. My name is
is
Scott
turning
McDowell.
into talk, so let's go take that off. Okay, so now we have 3 bounces, very rough so far. But say I determine that those bounces are way too slow. I can always go to the end of my footage, and when I see those back and forth arrows there, I can actually compress or lengthen the whole range of motions, and it kind of lengthens the amount of time in between each keyframe. I can shorten it, or I can really compress the whole thing, which is pretty nice. You can see how it's faster there. And I should be able to, move things around a little bit. But for now, I'd stick with, with just going to a place in your animation. If you don't want the ball to quite have hit the bottom yet, you can always just reposition the ball at that point in time in your keyframe, right? And then if I want it to finally hit a little bit later on, I can then reposition it there. So just rather than doing too much like tweaking with by moving the motion paths themselves, because you can get really weird shapes out of these motions which will not look natural, I think it's easier to maintain natural movement to just go to the position where you want to move, where you want to change the position of the ball. Go to the point in time where you want to change the position of the ball. Say I don't want it quite to have hit down there yet, and then just move it to reflect that. I don't think I'm going to go through the whole process of doing the whole easing in and out. But then later on, you're going to want to add your other layer and now create ball number 2, the lead ball. And you're going to want to animate probably the ball bouncing across the entire stage. Couple of bounces. Let's just see the total extent of the movement. I'm going to lock my lower frame when I'm not working on it, because it's easy to accidentally grab objects from frames you're not or from layers you're not working on, and accidentally edit those or move them around or even erase objects. And we'll start the lead ball maybe up here, and it's going to drop down and do its own kind of thing. Start the motion tween, and it's going to want me to transform this once again into a symbol. And let's say it's going to drop pretty fast, I think. So I'm just going to have it hit the ground here. Yeah, and maybe give this a little bit of an arc. That's a good start. It's not going to just stop there. It's going to bounce. Have a bounce. Bonk. And bounce a little more like that. Sometimes these paths are a little hard to change, so I'll go back to this frame and kind of tweak it a bit. Okay. Boom. And I think the lead ball is going to, do a lot less recurrent bouncing. It's going to really slow down its movement. Boom, boom. See, it doesn't do a lot of bouncing. It really just grinds to a halt quickly. But I also want to do things like ease in the acceleration of this from the top frame. So we're going to go to frame 2 and really move it a lot closer to frame 1. As you remember from class today, this is the kind of easing in that we're talking about. And so now it's really easing into that motion before it accelerates. And I think you'll find that you might want to squash and stretch the ping pong ball much more than the lead ball. But we can squash that guy a bit and stretch him a bit. I'm going to stretch him out a little bit. Try to maintain this feeling of the mass. Don't make him much smaller. He doesn't want to get a lot smaller, you know what I'm saying? He just wants to be distorted. Let's see what he looks like up here. And he gets back in his shape here, and then he speeds up. And then by here, he should really... You'll have to go back and forth and really just correct things as you see problems. Now, like up here, we don't want him to be all squashed. So we're going to have them stretch again. You just really have to tweak it. There's no perfect fix here for this. It's easier, but you still have to nurture this thing. Bonk. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to spend all day working on this. But you can see a little bit of squash and stretch. And I don't know if that's appropriate for the lead ball. I'd probably give more squash to the ping pong, less to the lead ball. But you can see I at least have some easing with the lead ball. I'd have a lot more to do with my ping pong ball. Anyway, so those are the main features of this. It's hours after class, and I had some other things in mind that I wanted to tell you. What were they? Well, for now, we've covered the basics. Easing in, thinking about timing and spacing. We've done motion tweening. Tweening is a shortened word, a nickname for in-betweens, right? Tweening is the version of automated in-betweens that we have in Flash. And next week, we'll start to discuss the other type of automated tweening, shape tweens. So that's the end of our tutorial, I think, for now. But I'll do one final thing, which is to export the movie. And I'm a dutiful namer of files here. Brian Zagier, 2 bouncing balls. Or maybe I can even say homework. Homework number 5, bouncing balls. And put it into some handy, ideally save it onto my thumb drive. I don't have my thumb drive loaded in right now, so it's going on the desktop. And make sure that you save it as a SWF file. Done. And then you can go in later. And I remember where I saved it, so here we are. Yeah, that ping pong ball doesn't look great. That would be not perfect score on the assignment, maybe a B+. Okay? So good luck on your own assignments, and see you next week.